Alright, YouTube, so it's time to put these guys on. HKS Hypermax Type S's, Hypermax S's, and so I'm going to be removing the BC Racing ER series coilovers out of here. So, yep, removing these guys, got it all lifted up, and about to get started on this. So, be right back. Okay, so started by taking out all the 14mm bolts, 3 of them there. Through them there. So now that's all you gotta do up here. Obviously wheels off. And so now I'm gonna remove some of the bolts in the bottom. So, but yeah, I'll be right back. Alrighty, so you take the bolt for the sway bar, okay, which is a 12mm, and then you actually take the bolt for the shock, the coilover, which is a 19mm across, just the bolt goes through, and then you also take the 19mm that comes off of here to the actual hub itself, the spindle. And now at that point, you should be able to wiggle this down and then pull the shock out, and it's just pretty much loose. So that's, let's see. Yep. So you can pretty much do it with one hand holding a phone. So yeah. So that's how that works. So not too hard, and that's how you do both sides, left and right, the same way. And then the front, I'll show you how to do that now. And I'm gonna go back with those. So, see there. All right, so let's do a quick comparison of the BC ER rear shock. These are purchased in December of 2021, looks like. And they're Swift 14K springs. So the spring is actually the lighter spring. These springs have less coils when it comes to a regular BC spring, so they're a little bit lighter, but obviously it has the extra resi shock. And BC in general tend to be very light springs, very light coilovers, because of the construction that they are made. So everybody always talks about how light they are. So we're going to compare a rear BC shock 14K spring Swift with the ER, the BC Racing ER series, with an HKS rear. So let's try out the BC first. Let's get a scale. Turn this thing on. Okay, so it's pounds and ounces. Okay. So we're gonna call it 11.13, 11 point. So let's say 11.12. I measured it. I weighed it the other day and it was 11.12, and I put them in, I remember. So 11 pounds, 12 ounces. HKS with the helper spring. Beautiful shocks. Let's put this bad boy on there and try to center it. So it looks like we have 10, 13, 10, 12, 10, 13. So about 10 pounds and 13 ounces. So the rear ones, the rear ones are a little bit heavier than the front ones. They're still about a pound difference in weight. So HKSs are definitely pretty light. So you're looking at under 11 pounds for this. This one is almost 12 pounds. So, you know, obviously these are actually 10K springs with helpers, and the dampering is a little bit different. than those, and these are 16K springs for the front, and I'm running 18K right now in the front. So that's that. So let me go ahead and keep taking those coilovers off and get back with you. All right, so you take your coilover, your rear coilover, and it comes with these little spacers here. Each side grabs one, and then you mount it on this location. This is pretty easy. You just slide it in, tighten up the top bolts first, not tighten up all the way, it's just enough to where it's snug with your hand, and then you play with the stuff on the bottom. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. Quickly, you can just put them in place and just kind of tighten up with your hand the bolts. You don't want to tighten them up too much yet, because you still got to like tighten the bottom ones, and then you go back and you tighten those up. So basically, you just slid the coilover in place and just start putting all your bolts in. So that's what you do. Okay, be right back. All right, so once you put your bolts through, but to put the bolt through, you want to use a little jack. Obviously, I'm already using a quick jack, right? So, but this is just putting a little bit of pressure. I could do it with one hand up, because it's about 20 pounds of pressure for the helper spring to actually to squeeze it. So you can do it with one hand, but it's kind of hard doing it and then putting one bolt. I was able to push it up, but I just thought this was just a quick way to do it. So it's just a jack. I'm using just something to push the control arm up a little bit, right? Put your bolt through, put your sway bar bolt in. I gotta put a nut. Same thing here. Put your bolt that goes into the spindle. So once everything is nice and tight, all the bolts are tight, and the bolts are tight on top, that's what it looks like. That's how your helper spring looks like, and that's how it's supposed to look, guys. And this is all factory settings. Okay, I haven't adjusted anything. This is how it comes. I did measure them both, and they're both exactly like the book says it's supposed to be. So yeah, but yeah, so all three bolts on top are tightened. You got the sway bar bolt, you got this bolt and this bolt right here. All those are nice and tight. So that's how it looks like. Spring preload, I mean the spring helper spring has a little bit of tension on it, but not so much. And then if you bring it up, you can see it. So it's a 20-pound spring right here, and then once that collapses, and then your 10-pound spring, your 10K spring will kick in. So that's how that works. All right, guys, we'll keep moving on. All right, so the front ones are pretty easy. You got three bolts on top. I always loosen them up and push a shock towards the inside, and then there's that one bolt you have to remove right here. Nut and bolt, and then pop them off. And that's how that works there. So obviously I already removed the top ones, all three, and then that one in the bottom. So let me do that, and I'll pull that one out. Okay, so I pulled it out, and that's your measurement on the BC. So this is a BC with springs, with Swiss springs on it. So ER series, and I was using 18K springs from Swift. So that is, what did we say? 15.5, just shy of 12 pounds. And then the front one is gonna be this one here, and HKS front will be centered it really good there. Okay, so 10.9. Okay, 10.9. So over a pound difference in the front, and in the back almost a pound. So we'll just say 4 pounds total, because it's a little less in the back and a little more in the front. So 4 pounds different weight between running these to these. So that is the difference between those two when it comes to weight. Obviously there's a lot more differences, but yeah, that's what we're working with. Alright, so on the new HKS shock, just basically slide it in the same way you take the other one out. You got to take off the lower bolt right here, and then you got to take off the sway bar. Basically just got to adjust one, take one of the bolts off, and also the bolt you see here for the speed sensor, ABS sensor. So you take that off, and it gives you slack to be able to bring the other one in. And this is what we're going with. We're going to be using these guys from Figs. So you basically make sure that they're the same adjustment, same size, and once they're the same size, then you can go ahead and put them on. These little guys right here, one goes on one side and one goes on the other side, and it kind of just clamps the sway bar together. So the sway bar should be between these two on top, and obviously the longer part right here is in the bottom, and that bolt goes through. And then when you tighten this one, you tighten this one at the same time, and that's basically it. So just basically adjust them to factory, and you're good to go. Mines were kind of busted, so I went ahead and put those on. But yep, so I'll show you how after I put it on. Okay. Alrighty, so that's how it looks like right there. Just mounts to the sway bar, pancakes it, or sandwiches. That's it. Grabs it there. And then on this side, you basically got a bolt right there, and that's how it attaches. So obviously right now the car has no no pressure on it, but once it's lifted, once it's on the ground, then it'll be nice and smooth and relaxed. So that's that. All the bolts are connected. Top is connected there. That's the clearance from the Figs control arms. And then these bolts right here. Now I'm going to make sure they're nice and tight. Okay, be back. Alright guys, so everything's nice and installed, nice and pretty. Another time I also put all the Figs poly bushings basically throughout the whole car. I got the master kit that they sell, and I have Figs everywhere. So yeah, those are the purple ones. Yep. So there's your HKS Hypermax S coilovers installed with adjustable Figs, sway bar, and links. Alright guys, if you have any questions, let me know. And that's how you install the suspension back. And once I get everything nice and put it back together, and I do the other side, I'll go ahead and put, obviously put the wheels back down, and then I'll take some videos of how the car looks with it on the ground. Alright, see you then. Alright, so the HKSs are on, Hypermax Type S's. Just put them on and went for a ride, and the car is doing exactly what I expected to do. It's driving extremely smooth, very firm ride, feels good, takes corners great. Feels like a lot of control, but the dampering just feels just right on. Right now everything is I put the dampering in the front at 18 and the 15 in the rear, and I put from the factory I spun it two rings twice around on the front to lower it just a little bit more. So that's where she sits right now. The back is completely stock. Stock factory, what HKS recommends. So yeah, she's riding really nice. Everything is exactly what I expected. So my recommendation is, yes, for sure, go with the HKS. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be tracking these here pretty soon, so I'll be able to give you another feedback about how they do at the track. So but yeah, great riding car, and she feels back like what I'm used to driving an ISF. The 1814 BC ERs were just a little bit too much for my liking. For the track, they were great. They did well, but I believe that these are going to do almost as good and give me the ride that I need, because I do use this car a lot for other things, and I got people in the car and stuff like that. So I was looking for something that had a better ride, and yet I can do the track days, you know, when I want to. So that's it, guys. So if you like the video, like it and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Any questions, just, you know, hit me up. All right, man. Thank you.